mynews.studio.
Solar farms are now spreading across India's deserts, but there's a bigger question. Can renewables really take the place of coal?
Today's date is August 8th, 2025. In the past year, India saw a 62% jump in solar panel installations. That's nearly 17,000 new solar setups every month. It's a rapid pace. But what's actually fueling this rush? Is it just about hitting climate goals, or is there something else happening here?
It goes beyond climate targets. The government's interstate transmission system charge waiver is a big factor. By waiving transmission fees for new renewable projects, starting with a 25% exemption and then increasing each year until 2028, they've lowered project costs. That's driven the addition of 22 gigawatts of new capacity just in the first half of 2025. That's a 57% jump over last year. So, the policy is clearly effective. But the question is, can this momentum last? The policy is clearly effective, but the question is, can this momentum last?
The data does show momentum. But what about the regions that have historically depended on coal? Those communities have relied on mining jobs and the stability that comes with them. As renewables gain ground, are these areas being left behind?
It's not a simple yes or no. Coal jobs are declining, but renewables are opening up new roles, like construction, maintenance, operations. There's also financial benefit from land leases and new infrastructure. But the transition isn't even everywhere. Some communities are retraining workers and finding new industries. Others are still struggling, especially where investment is slow or retraining isn't available. So, is the so-called just transition enough to close those gaps?
That's really at the heart of it. Both the government and private companies are working on reskilling and engaging with communities. But for someone in, say, Jharkhand who's worked in coal mining, how quickly can they switch to a solar job? And do those new jobs actually match the pay and security of what they're leaving behind?
Pay and stability do differ. Some renewable jobs, like installations, are short-term. Maintenance roles tend to be longer-lasting. The government is running targeted training, especially in regions hit by coal job losses. But it's a huge challenge. Then there's the technical side, integrating all these renewables into the grid. Solar and wind are unpredictable. So what happens when the sun sets or the wind drops? How do we keep the lights on?
That's where energy storage comes in. India's testing battery storage and pumped hydro. They're also building hybrid projects, solar, wind, and storage combined, to provide steadier power. But these solutions aren't cheap. Is investment flowing fast enough to keep pace with all the new installations?
Investment is still a sticking point. State utilities have a track record of delayed payments, which makes private investors cautious. That's why we're seeing policy changes, like improving payment security, introducing round-the-clock renewable contracts, and upgrading the grid. But can these reforms keep up with the explosive growth in new projects?
That's exactly what people outside India are watching. As the world's most populous country and a major emitter, if India can manage this transition, what does that signal for other fast-growing nations? Is this a model they could follow, or is India's situation unique?
Other developing countries can learn from this. Policy incentives drive change, communities can adapt, and technical solutions are available. But each country has its own mix of resources, grid infrastructure, and social dynamics. Still, India's showing that a fast-growing economy doesn't have to stick with coal. Could this mark a turning point for global clean energy?
It's possible. India's progress suggests economic growth and environmental protection don't have to be at odds. The world will be watching to see if this momentum holds, especially as calls to cut emissions get louder. Will India's approach shape the future of sustainable growth elsewhere?
That's something we'll be tracking over the next decade. We'll keep following the data and sharing the stories that emerge.
India's renewables surge is reshaping the energy landscape, creating new jobs, and challenging old ways of thinking about development and climate.
Thank you for joining us as we explored India's energy transformation, why it matters, how it's unfolding, and what comes next.
Thanks for listening. This episode was powered by mynews.studio. Try it free today.